This is Eric Rutan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew McKay Smith.
A Happy New Year. Well, near to a Happy New Year anyway. Today's date is the 27th of December, so I might as well wish everybody a Happy New Year now. And I hope Christmas was a good one. And I've got a chat for you, featuring a fella from Finland. His name, Henrik Klingenberg, and he is the keyboard player in the mighty Sonata Arctica. These guys have been going for decades at this point. They were a power metal band and they became more of a traditional metal band with, as you're about to hear, some acoustic accompaniment. The catalyst for the conversation with Henrik is due to the new album from the group, which will be released via Atomic Fire on the 21st of January 2022, and it is titled Acoustic Adventures Volume 1. You can pre-order it now over at the group's website. The tune that I have chosen for you, what is it called? The Rest of the Sun Belongs to Me, and as I said, it is taken from the album Acoustic Adventures Volume 1 from a Sonata Arctica. And once that's done, you'll hear from Henrik. Let's go. right, we'll kick things off in terms of the chat about the album. So I do have a copy of Acoustic Adventures Volume 1. Right. So it wasn't a surprise to see that you guys went down this direction because you've always been very vast and operatic in your approach to heavy metal. And yeah, you know, so it's acoustic, but it's melodramatic. So in that way, it still sounds like a Sonata Arctica album, if you know what I'm saying. It's still got the same vibe.
I hope so.
Yeah, well, look. As a musician myself, I can only imagine the many hours that you as a band must have spent choosing and arguing over, and then perfecting the songs on the album. But was it as dramatic as I've just imagined, or was it easier than I've suggested?
Well, yes and no. The thing was, we did a tour in 2019, and that was we did put in a lot of work into the arrangements of a bunch of the songs already then. So then now when we started to work on the album, we had that experience of touring with the songs, and we had a bunch of the songs already that we had good arrangements for. So it was a good starting point. And then after that, to work out the new ones, that was the struggle. And it took some time. And I think especially our producer, Mikko Tegelman, who is also our front of house guy, he had a tremendous impact on the arrangements because we decided to record the music live and without the click track. So that made it really essential that he would be there listening, you know, and saying, you know, if we're speeding up or slowing down or if something doesn't work, because we had to be very, very focused on just getting our parts right. And especially on the keyboard guitar front, it's really easy to put too much stuff or to play overlapping stuff and not complement each other. So it was, I mean, we did pay a lot of attention to details, both you know, rehearsing for the studio and also in the studio as well.
How did your drummer go though, not playing to a click track though? I mean, I know you got a good drummer, but that's a hell of an accomplishment.
Yeah, it is, and then of course a lot of the songs have parts without drums, so that means that because for example when we play electrically, we use click tracks, and sometimes we have backing tracks live also with orchestral stuff and things like that. So it's very easy to stay on time, because if there is a part where there's no drums, then you hear a click in your ear. But this time, everybody else also had to be very alert with the timing, because you got like songs starting, for example, with the guitar before the band comes in, stuff like that, and then our guitar player had to play in the right tempo from the start without, you know, any help, so to speak. So yeah, I think it was the easiest for Tommy, because he has a good sense of time and he can keep time very well. But for the rest of us, it was a pain in the ass.
I bet. Yeah, look, as I say, I'm a muso, and I think I do a pretty good job at keeping time, but it's really about locking in with everybody else and wondering if they're going to bloody keep time, because, as you know, being a muso, sometimes you've got to slow down and speed things up because of the way other musicians around you are playing. So it's probably just a product of the fact that you guys have been playing together now for, I know you've been in the band 20 years, so I mean, the band's been here around for about 25 or 30 years, I think, from memory, but it's just decades worth of you guys just understanding how each other's plays allows you to do that.
Yeah, I think it would have been impossible to make this kind of album with just, you know, getting a bunch of musicians, no matter how accomplished or good musicians there are. So I think it's very, like you said, I think it's very essential that we have played together for many, many years, and we know exactly where everybody is when we play together. Sorry.
No,
so yeah, that was really something that helped, but well, it still was a bit tricky, but yeah.
You got through it. You got through it very easily. When I say easily, that sounds great. But did you have any arguments over which songs to choose to play?
Not as much as you might think, but yeah, there were some. You know, when somebody wanted to do a certain version, and the rest of the guys were going like, "No, that's not going to work," and. But I think as far as arguing going, having been together as a band for so long, and we have traveled around the world so many times and done all these albums and stuff, we're getting a little bit too old to argue about things, you know, or at least too lazy. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's when you have 5 guys that think they are very good at what they do, that also means that there are some egos involved when you start to work on music, and there are occasional clashes. But we have been getting a lot better, and I think we are quite good at keeping the peace and presenting our view of things in a way that we can actually talk about stuff instead of yelling at each other, you know. So I don't think it was serious arguments. It was just, you know, talk and maybe disagreeing or something. But at the end, you know, you come to some conclusion and move forward. But we haven't really had any big arguments regarding the music for years.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. Well, you don't survive if you do. You know, people get resentful and somebody leaves, and then it becomes very difficult, as it does with some bands. There's no doubt that I've spoken to many bands where that's been the case, but probably your laid-back Finnish manner, and I've spoken to a number of people from Finland over the last 12 months or so since COVID, and I was joking with, I don't know whether you know, you may know Kimmo Kusniemi, but you might not as well. God, Finland's still a big place with a lot of people in it from Sarcophagus. But Kimmo was telling me that the big joke in Finland was with COVID distancing, you know, it was like you got to keep 1.5 metres away from each other. Yeah. Like Finns were going to be glad that they could go back to keeping 8 metres away from each other or something like that after COVID. Is that, do you get that joke? Does that resonate?
Yes, that does resonate. I've heard that joke as well, and it's... well, it's funny because it's true. So it's I think it helps being Finnish. But of course, I mean, when we were younger, when you go on the road and some people want to stay up all night and some people want to sleep, and those are the kind of things that have created arguments in the past for us, you know. But as far as music, no, not really, nothing to worry about.
Who's the biggest rager in the band these days?
I don't know if anybody is anymore. It used to be me, and then our previous guitar player and bass player Janne and Marco at one point, and then Elias when he came along, the new guy who has been in the band now for over 10 years. Almost 15, I think. So with him, there was some wild stuff going on at some point. But these last years, well, of course, now we haven't been touring for a couple of years, but still, everybody's getting calmer. So it's it's more about just, you know, hanging out, having a few beers and a few laughs, and not, you know, you don't have to destroy every city you come to or raise hell or you know. You know, blast the stereos until 7 a.m, you know, stuff like that. It's
oh God,
yeah, exactly. Oh God, if we're happy to survive and move on.
Raging for you guys these days must be going back to the hotel room on tour with a glass of red and a good book, I suppose. Is that raging?
Something like that. Yeah, I mean, we still like to drink, but it's you know, I think it's different if you have a couple of glasses of red wine or a few beers or something, as opposed to having all the beers and all the red wine.
Well, you got the memories at the very least, you know. I mean, that's the main thing. At least you could lead that life for a period of time.
Well, I mean, at least the things that you do remember.
Hey, the last metal album from the group was called Winter Night, or Talvio. Hopefully I've pronounced that correctly there. And it wasn't too long ago. It was only 2019. So have you got another metal album in the works, or are you just focused on the acoustic stuff for the time being?
Well, actually, I mean, we were like just starting the touring with Talvi. We just did North America, Europe, and then the Finnish tour, and then all this shit happened. So I don't think we're going to continue touring with that album because, you know, time has passed. But at the moment, we are looking at we're celebrating the 25th anniversary of the band. So we're playing a sort of best of set list, and like next year is all, or for the most part, just booked gigs that have been moved forward, and
Yeah.
So we're just trying to catch up with work that we haven't been able to do. In the fall, there's going to be the volume 2 of the Acoustic Adventures, and we have now, I think, about 50 shows with that thing in Finland first and then in Europe. And then after that, so 2023 is the plan to go into the studio, start working on the next metal album. But I mean, you tend to get this is like the music business is very like you never know what's going to happen, and especially now with this COVID stuff going on, you know even less. So at least for me personally, when people ask about the plans, I get more and more skeptical. You know, I say like, this is the plan for now because it might change the next week. You know, so provided that we get to play at least some of the shows that we have planned to do, then you know, about a year from now we should be able to enter the studio and make the next album. But who knows?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Well, what do Nuclear Blast have much of a say over that sort of thing, or do you just tell them what you're doing?
They of course tell us their opinion, but we have been working with Markus Steiger, the boss of Nuclear Blast, who's now started a new label, Atomic Fire, and
that's
which
right,
we are on. Yeah, we've been working with him since Reckoning Night in 2004, and he really loves the band, and he understands that we need peace to work on our music, and so we don't have to send out demos or pretty much ask for opinions and stuff like that. We make the album and then they sell it, and of course they let us know, and then some stuff they like more and some less, but it's really, they don't really interfere in any negative way, at least. And also with this acoustic stuff, we said that we really would like to do something like this, and they said, okay, sure, go ahead, do it.
Yeah.
So there's a mutual trust, and I think it's really important for artists to have you know, to get peace when you work and not be harassed all the time. You know, I think the end result is better when we can work and be at our best instead of trying to please somebody or having somebody checking up on you all the time.
Yeah, I don't know how it could work. I know it goes on, but it's more of a management thing, I think, isn't it, these days, than a record label thing where they pressure bands to go in certain directions to get on certain tours and all that stuff. But you guys have been around for so long now that if anybody screwed with you that way, they'd be an idiot.
Well, I hope so. But well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, if we wanted to play it safe, we would never have started to stray from the power metal sound that we had in the beginning. And because I remember that I joined the band just before our third album, Winter Heart Skill. I wasn't on the album, but I was for the tour. Yeah. Then we did Reckoning Night, and after the Reckoning Night World Tour, it was about 2 years, we were supposed to start working on Unia, our fifth album, and then Tony just said, like, I can't do this power metal stuff anymore. And everybody was like, so what are you saying? And I said, like, I have to do something different because otherwise we're doing 1 or 2 albums and then I'm done. And so we told him, like, well, what do you have? And he had all this progressive stuff, so we started playing that. And that's the trouble with being around for a long time, because if you change too much, people don't like it. If you don't change, people don't like it that way either. So that's the dilemma. So we just went with it, and so far we've been lucky to be around and be alive still. But yeah, we've never been about playing it safe. I think it's important just to try to make good music, and of course we want it to sound like Sonata Arctica, but the definition seems to be changing all the time.
I think fans expect bands to have one significant career change, like, you know what, your fellow Finns in Amorphous did. And then you've got what Opeth did as well. Most fans understand that bands have got to evolve. It's when you have 2 or 3 significant changes, and then there's like what happened with Morbid Angel, like complete right turns, and fans just go, we don't want this, you know. But that's I'm glad fans sort of stuck with you. I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Like this acoustic album, it still sounds like you guys. Like I can still tell it's you guys.
But yeah, that's something we also really wanted to make sure that it's not, you know, because the instrumentation is different, and the presentation of the songs is quite different from the originals. So, but I'm glad that it at some level at least shines through that, hey, this is still the same band. But
yeah, there you go. Yeah, mate, I've got one more question for you. I hope you can answer it, because I was reading the band website, and on your bio it states that there's a question there. It asks you what your best tour experience off stage was, and your response was that you can't tell anybody about it because it's too personal, but it was awesome. So can you share with me and my podcast listeners what your best tour experience off stage was?
That's probably, I've been feeling a bit smart-assy about it and just writing something cryptic, But I think off stage, there has been, during the years, there has been so many great things. One thing is that we have been able to see stuff that you wouldn't have been able to see otherwise, or at least not all of it. For example, like going to the States and, seeing Graceland and things like that. And, having an off day in New York, coming over to Australia, having off days there, seeing Sydney, like the harbour thing, and going out with speedboats and boats and getting sunburned and all that stuff. So I think those are the greatest experience when you go to someplace new and you see something you haven't seen before. And so it's like pretty much typical tourist stuff. It's just that you get to do them like while working, which is a really nice thing. And then of course. Yeah, so it's. I think that the whole travel thing, that you are able to go somewhere you've never been before and people show up for the shows. I think that's the most amazing part of having this job. Like you go to a place you haven't heard of before, you saw it on the tour schedule, and then you go there and a bunch of people show up and go like, yeah, we love your band. And you go like, how can you know about us? We're from the other side of the world. So it's. I think that still amazes me to this day that you can find a Sonata fan pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, I suppose when you're in your 20s and you're from Finland, it must be very surreal to see a bunch of people from Sydney or Brisbane in Australia in an audience who know your music, and you're thinking, how does everybody know you? But it sort of probably feels normal now, but initially, I imagine it was quite the shock.
Yeah, it was, and a positive shock, but still, you go like, wow, this is amazing. It still is. I think the older you get, I think that the more you appreciate it, because when you're in your 20s, you're just going like, yeah, of course they know us because we're great and this is awesome, and and then like now when we are in our 40s, we understand that this is not a given that people would follow the band and come to the shows, and you don't take it for granted anymore. I don't know if I took it as a 20-year-old, but you're definitely more cocky when you're a kid, and your attitude is a bit different. And now I would say that the main feeling I have when we get out and play and can make albums and things like that I'm really, really grateful to be able to do this. And
awesome.
do it for a living, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's killer, mate. Yeah. Well, long may you continue to do it, and I hope to see you guys down here sometime soon as these bloody restrictions are over.
Yeah, absolutely. We only been there once, so it's about time. That was 10 years ago or something like that, and it was really awesome. So I would really like to come back. Yeah,
lots to catch up on. Yeah. I don't think we've changed too much, so there you go.
Yeah. Us either.
Well, thanks very much for the chat, mate. I appreciate it. Good luck with everything. Congratulations on an epic career so far, and I'll let you get back to the kids there. But thanks very much for the chat again. Well,
thank you very much. No worries. Take care.
Thanks, brother. You too. Cheers.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. My conversation with Henrik Klingenberg from the outfit Sonata Arctica. He's the group's keyboard player. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and I'm the host of the Scars and Guitars podcast series. Thanks so much for tuning in. I've got some big news. I've already mentioned it a few times, but I'll mention it again here on the outro to this episode. My book will soon be launched. Hopefully, February 2022. It will at least be released digitally by then. I'll have physical copies soon after. Do go across to scarsandguitars.com for more information. You can hit me up on socials as well. I'm just trying to work out the best way of distributing it because I'm having to do it all myself. I'm not bothering pitching it to publishers because I just couldn't be bothered, to be honest with you. And I think as a first effort, it's not bad, and I'd rather control, distribution, and the way in which I communicate with people myself. I'm not saying that I don't hope it sells in big numbers, but I don't anticipate that it will. So I'm going to print up a couple of hundred of the physical copy, and I'm hoping that I can exchange some pleasantries with everybody who wants one, maybe write a bit of a personalised note in the front of the book, and send it your merry way for a very reasonable cost. Again, my name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and I'm the host of the Scars and Guitars podcast series. Thank you so much for tuning in.